like to welcome the audience to the April 17th, 2018 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Coach Williams, could I get you to lead us in the invocation and the pledge? Please.
Dear Lord, again we come before you, thanking you for allowing us to see another blessed day. We ask for your presence, that you come in this meeting and guide and lead us in the right direction. We ask that you bless this board and bless this staff. We ask a special blessing for those who come tonight seeking our help. Let the Holy Spirit guide and lead us, that we might do that which is pleasing in our sight. And this we offer this day as our prayer. Son, the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Coach. Ms. Christie, would you call roll, please?
Chair Art Little,
Here.
Vice Chair Randy Armentor,
Here.
Mr. Jake Forshey,
Here.
Ms. Latricia Cobb, here. Ms. Julia Dickerson,
Here.
Ms. Sharon Galicia,
Here.
Ms. Janelle Hyatt,
Here.
Mr. Kyle Link,
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre,
Here.
Mr. Kurt Smith,
Here.
and Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Got a full crew tonight for a change.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. This is a 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the request from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentations, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name and address and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant needs to fill out a blue card, a request to appear form, located in the back of this room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the opponents will be limited to 10 minutes. The proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. The opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers request forms are submitted, the time allotted for individual speakers will be limited based on the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend a time allotted for speakers. After this discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The variances requests are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on April the 19th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.jppj.net.channel5 on Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, and Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to make sure you silence all your electronic devices. We'll take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the March 20th, 2018 Planning and Zoning meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 6, take appropriate action on VAR 0318-0037, a request by David LeBlue for a variance to allow a dwelling with less than required lot square footage. Required 43,560 square feet, requesting 19,050 square feet at 1754 PL Miller Road in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Navarre. Ms. Wallace, would you please?
This property is located in the LeBlue settlement area and encompasses .44 acres of property zoned agricultural. In 2012, a permit was issued at this location for 2 manufactured homes on the full lot. The property that's in question, the petitioner actually inherited, and when the succession was done, the full lot was cut in half. So that's why back in 2012, we were able to issue permits for manufactured homes. Well, once it was split in half, it's no longer a non-conforming lot, and it needs to comply with current standards. The applicant intends to place a manufactured home on the property to be used for rental purposes. Because a manufactured home was previously permitted at this site, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adheres to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to the utilities being connected. And I do want to point out that we do not have any written opposition on this request.
Thank you, ma'am. The applicant have anything else he wants to add?
No, sir.
If you would state, okay, that's fine. That's all right. Does the board have any questions or comments? No questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
So do I have to be here for the Thursday meeting, or I'm good to go?
You're good on your approvals. You'll just have to get your permits now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7. Take appropriate action on RZ 0218-0055, a request by J&A Investments of Southwest Louisiana LLC to rezone from agricultural A1 to multifamily residential RM to allow residential development. 7 duplexes at 6143 Mark LeBlue Road in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is also located in the LeBlue settlement area. It encompasses 3 acres of agricultural zone land. The petitioner would like to have the property rezoned to allow 7 duplexes. The construction of the duplexes would be done in phases. They're proposing a brick exterior, and each duplex would consist of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit, along with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit. We do not have written opposition to this request, but because the proposed density is not consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that drainage impact analysis will be required unless an appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, and that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code.
Thank you, ma'am. And we do have a blue card. And I'm guessing, yeah, in opposition to this. First of all, if I'd like to call up the applicant, if you would,
Yes,
your
sir.
name and address.
My name is Donald Brown. My address is 623 East Friesen Road. And the reason why I came is because I'm buying the property next door to where he want to build these apartments. And,
He's not the applicant.
oh no, he's the applicant.
Oh, I'm sorry. We
Yeah.
need the applicant first. I'm sorry, sir. That's okay.
Hi, how you doing?
Name?
My name is Jordan Berza. My address is 6143 Mark LeBlue Road.
Yes, sir. Do you have any other comments to add to the staff's recommendations?
I do not. I'd be glad to answer any questions, though.
Okay. At this time, then, Mr. Donald Brown, if you have opposition, if you would, state your name and address for the records, please.
Again, my name is Donald Brown, and the reason why I came is because I'm purchasing the land next door where they want to build a 7-unit apartments. We plan on building 7,000 square feet house, and I don't want no apartments on side of it. I mean, if I called the bank and talked to the people at the bank, and I told them that if this thing do pass, we'll try to back out of the loan. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions or comments? Mr. Forte?
I've got a question for the staff. Is there a particular number of duplexes that the staff would feel comfortable that would somewhat fit in with the density, or is it just pretty much the whole multifamily aspect?
I mean, it's a single family.
Not to you, sir, to the staff.
I think that 14 units would be excessive out there.
Correct.
I did notice a few lots down, it seems like there's a lot that has 3 units, 3 manufactured homes.
Right.
I can't really say, but it would definitely be a change of lifestyle for the folks out there.
Sure. Okay. That was just a general question.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I make a quick suggestion, you allow the applicant to have kind of last word to speak to whatever the opposition was.
Okay. Mr.
I do have a question for Mr. Donald.
Yes.
Hold on, Mr.
The
Chairman.
board, I'm sorry, the board.
Yes, you have to address the board, please.
The property next to me, as of my knowledge, as of a week ago, has been in a family, it got foreclosed. And as of now, that property, last week, was not even available to be for sale, coming from the bank who owns the property or going to own the property. And I've been watching the sheriff's sales, and I have not seen that yet. So I would just like to confirm that that property is purchased and titled in his name.
Mr. Chairman, and I have to interject a little bit. Questions from the podium really aren't the proper way to
Right.
proceed here. We're here to talk about this one issue. Comments need directed to the board, limited to this issue.
Okay.
So it's I
Thank
need
you
to
very
kind of
much.
put her back on
Yes.
task.
Thank you very much for your help. Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. Does the board have any other questions or comments?
Probably for the
Yes.
staff, where is the closest multifamily residence to this? You said there might be one with 3 down the road, but
There's, I believe that there's 3 manufactured homes, a few lots to the east on the aerial photography.
right here.
There is a duplex development approximately a mile away, but we believe that the property was already zoned multifamily and comprehensive zoning.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to
Alderman
ask
Carr?
the applicant, is there anything that you would consider less than the 7?
Yes, sir, I'm open, be grateful for whatever I could get granted.
You said you were gonna do it in phases. How many was gonna be on phase 1?
4.
I mean, I could see 4 being on your application, without a problem. But I don't know how that works. I'd like to amend the
Mr. Chairman.
motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. West.
I would suggest, I know y'all think, if you're thinking about maybe having him do less on a piece of property, I think the proper thing to do would be to defer that so that he can redo a site plan so we can review it to see if that's, how that fits into the context. Because that's what we're looking at here. We're looking to see if this is fitting into the context of the pattern of housing that's out there. We're looking at land use patterns, we're looking at housing patterns. And so, that's sort of our, that's what our thinking is. So, just wanted to.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes.
And for some more information, if it's stays and votes on and declines, he has an opportunity to come back at some point in time and reapply for something? And how much time would
Goes
that
to
be?
the police jury. Does it not go to the police jury Thursday?
Oh, yeah, it would, this automatically goes to the
Okay.
police jury Thursday. And
Yes, but a defer,
yeah, if it's denied, if it's both
Right.
denied at your level and the planning and zone, police jury level, then he's got 1 year.
he's got a year before he can come back.
Before he can come
If it's
back.
deferred, he can come back within 30 days or 60 days?
Well, you can defer it for, until the
Whatever
next
length.
meeting or whatever, so.
Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. J?
For me, it's, it's a density question, and then also, Mr. Crane, you hit on a good point as far as what this area is, where it's going. I mean, we're also spot zoning in effect to multifamily in the middle of agriculture. Now, there's a light commercial there. But for me, it's a twofold question. Is multifamily zoning in this area fitting as, I'd like your opinion on that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think we have to look at, our A1 property, agricultural property, it does sometimes tend to be that transitional zone that
Mhm.
goes from one thing to another.
Sure.
But we also are looking at land use pattern. What is existing out there?
Mhm.
Is it mostly single-family detached units? And
Right.
how many units per acre? What is the pattern? And so that's what we're looking for. But so in this particular case, yeah, it may be considered that,
Right.
because the pattern is not consistent.
Right. And once we approve
Or it's not
multifamily
a-
in this area.
Or it's
it
not in an
definitely-
area, it's not in an area that is conducive to multifamily type houses where you may have, denser populations where you have a commercial center or you have something like that fits into that context.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bochet. Anyone else have any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Yes.
offer a motion that we defer it whatever time it's gonna take the applicant to present a plan that probably would be acceptable for what King just.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to defer
To the next meeting.
to the next, for 30 days, to our next meeting.
Second.
And by Coach and a second by Ms. Glacier.
Might want to ask for discussion.
Oh.
Pardon?
I said you may want to ask for discussion.
And we have a motion and a second. It's open for discussion. Mr. Bochet?
Just on the deferral, I guess my question is the density more of a concern, or is the rezoning to multifamily more of a concern for the staff? And because at that point, the
Well-
deferral, that will determine how I vote
Well,
for the deferral.
I'm looking at all of it.
Yeah,
All I wanted to say, all I was saying is that Mr. Armitage was asking him questions about changing his plan.
right,
And my suggestion, if you're gonna consider that,
right,
you may want to defer action on that.
sure.
So that we have time to review it, not in a public hearing. So I'm not, that's the motion on the floor, but we're looking at all of it.
Okay.
Whether it fits in the context, the pattern, that, everything.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions on the motion?
Would this be acceptable to the applicant, something that he would be interested in following up on? Would this be acceptable to you? Would this be something you would be interested in following up on?
Yes, sir.
The deferral? It would be acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All in favor of the motion to defer?
You might want
Aye.
Roll
Roll call.
to roll call.
We'll do a roll call vote, Ms. Chris? Please, ma'am.
Mr. Navarre,
No.
Ms. Cobb,
No.
Mr. Porsche,
No.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Armitage,
Yes.
Ms. Galicia,
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson,
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
6 for and 4 against.
Motion to defer has passed, and we'll defer this for 30 days till our next meeting. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on RZ 0218-0056, a request by Mary Augustus to rezone from agricultural 1A to multifamily residential RM to allow residential development. 4 duplexes in the 200 block of West Abear Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb and a second. And a second by Coach Williams. Ms. Wallace, would you please read your recommendations?
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses 3/4 of an acre that is zoned agricultural. The petitioner would like to sell the property to Crown B Investments, a developer that plans to construct 4 duplexes on the property. Each of the units within the duplexes would be 1,100 square feet in size. The exterior would be brick and vinyl. The petitioner has also asked for, in the next agenda item, a variance to allow 8 units versus the 5 that would be allowed by right in multi-family residential zoning. We do have written opposition to this request, but because the land use is consistent with the uses in the general area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations. That the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by Division of Engineering, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, and that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code.
Thank you, ma'am. We do have one opposition blue card against this request. But first off, I'd like to see if the applicant would like to come up to the podium, has anything, comments or anything? If you would, please state your name and address.
My name is Chastity Rosette, and I represent Crown B Investments. And they already have some duplexes out there right around the corner. And so I think everything is conducive to the area as far as what we want to build.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Any of the board members have any questions for the applicant? If not, I'd like to call Andrew Scott. Please state your name and address for the records, please, sir.
First of all, good evening to all y'all. My name is Andrew Scott. I live at 329 West Aber Road. And me and my family, we just purchased our property that we're living at right now just last month. And that was one of the main specific reasons that we bought this property, which we told our realtor, whom is the same realtor that's selling this property to these contractors, that we liked the area. It was individual residents on that street. Now, as far as the duplexes around the corner, I don't know where she's talking about. It might be somewhere on another street. But in that area, I'm not aware of any duplexes on that street anywhere. It's a very narrow street. It's going to bring in way more traffic than we really need in that area. And, you know, I mean, I've never had to complain about anything like this or be opposed to anything like this before. But I know what it's like when you're living up amongst a lot of people. I've done it for 20 years in a trailer park, and it's hard. And we finally got our break in life to move somewhere where I'm comfortable with where we live. It's very private back there. And I just ask that y'all see that, you know, we done something. It costed us a bunch of money to move there. And I don't have the money to move out. And so I'm asking that this be turned down.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank y'all.
Any of our board members have any questions or concerns for the staff or for on this item? If not, I'd like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The property on the south side of Abear Road is that where, am I looking at it right? South side of
Yes.
Abe Road?
Yes.
Is not zone multifamily,
No, it's zone agricultural.
so, and the property on the north side,
It's zone mixed residential,
mixed residential,
which
means
would allow one duplex per lot.
per lot. And they're wanting to put 8 on this lot,
4 duplexes, 8 units total.
8 units?
Yes.
Okay. And it's on the wrong side of the road, okay.
Ms. Mary, do you have anything, the applicant, do you have anything else to comment?
They told us whenever I was gonna purchase the property that we could put 3, at least 3. And so what we're requesting is just really one more. And they do have, this set of duplexes is right around the corner. I mean, I don't know the name of the street, but when you pull it up, it's a whole bunch of trailers in that area, and it's around the corner. I don't know the name of the street. There's, at least about 3 or 4 duplex units, about 4 duplex units right around the corner from the house. It's walking distance from Abear Road. And these are the units.
Okay. Ms. Cobb, you had a question?
I just thought it was zoned that you could put 2 duplexes on it.
Well, the next agenda item, we addressed that, correct?
Well, I may have confused things. If the property is rezoned to multifamily residential, which is what the request is, then they could have 5 units. So basically, what is that? My math is off today. 2.5 duplexes by right. But because they want to have the 4 duplexes, that's why they need the variance. But that's in the next item.
But right now, it's zoned
Agricultural.
agricultural, which means it can only be 1 dwelling per acre, right? No?
She could probably do 1 duplex by right, even in agricultural.
Without it getting rezoned, so you can have
One
one
duplex.
duplex. One multifamily unit. Attached housing, attached living, condos.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I'm sorry, Mr. Scott, you've had your turn. I appreciate you, though. No other comments? I'd like to ask Ms. Christie to do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Navarre? Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Armentor?
Yes,
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
No.
7 for, 3 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion carries. Item number 9 on the agenda, take appropriate action on VAR 0418-0040, a request by Mary Augustus for variance to increase the density requirements. Allowed 5 units, requesting 8 units in the 200 block of West Abear Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This is the same property in question that we discussed in the last agenda item. As was stated, they're allowed 5 units if the property is rezoned by the police jury Thursday night, but they're requesting 8 units, so it would be 4 duplexes. Because the development is within the urban service area and the proposed density is comparable with city standards, the staff recommends that the request be granted.
Thank you. Does the applicant have anything else to add?
No.
Any comments from the board? No opposition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, take appropriate action on RZ 0318-0057. A request by James Wiggins to rezone from single-family residential R1 to to mixed residential R2 to allow residential development duplex at 4509 Ogden Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Coach Williams. Ms. Wallace, would you please read?
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses just over a third of an acre of property that's currently zoned single-family residential. The petitioner intends to sell the property to Mr. Granger, who will construct a two-story duplex at this location. It would be brick and vinyl exterior. Each unit would have 916 square feet and 2 bedrooms, 1 bath each. Should the property be rezoned, Mr. Granger plans, our understanding, to pursue annexation through the city of Lake Charles to potentially add another duplex on the same lot.
Okay.
Because the proposed density is not consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, and that screening must be provided in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code. And I do want to point out that on your tablets, we have a number of emails in opposition to this request as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendation? Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Robin Bissoni, 1010 Lakeland Drive, Lake Charles 70605. I'm representing the proposed purchaser, Mr. Justin Granger. We would like the board to know that this lot currently has 2 houses on it. They were used as rental units as well. They are in very bad condition. They've been abandoned and let go. Any development here would be an improvement over what's here now. Mr. Granger, as you can see by the pictures, is proposing a very good development, brick facade. We are bordered on 2 sides by commercial properties. So the applicant is not asking to go commercial. We're simply proposing the 1 duplex. He's a young applicant. He will occupy 1 side of the duplex, maintain the property, and make sure that the renter is a good neighbor. South of this project on Ogden Road, there is another property tract that has already been annexed into the city and will be a multifamily project. That is on Ogden Road. It's just a little bit further south. The applicant acknowledges that all of the single-family residences on the north end of Ogden Road are very well kept, and he plans to keep the property in the same fashion that those houses are kept at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Board have any questions for the applicant? We do have 2 blue cards. One, Mr. James Wiggin, in favor of. I don't know if this is on the right.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah, okay. Number 10.
My name is Bo Huddle. I reside at 4712 River Ridge. I'm a real estate agent for Century 21 Bono, and I represent the sellers in connection with this
Did you fill out a blue card, ma'am?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
I have some photographs that I took today of the property. I would like to be able to pass those out. No, it's, each person can have one, I think. To the north of this property for sale is a warehouse. It's not a really pretty site, but and it doesn't have much of a setback at all. To the east, like Robin said, is a commercial property, and they're building multifamily units on down the road, which extend all the way from Isles Road to Ogden Road. Isles Road is pretty much commercial, and this nice new building that will be to code has got to improve this neighborhood. The owner of this property used to rent the back house and the front house. So it was a rental, you know, for years. He's since suffered a stroke and needs 24 hours care. And while he will do what's legally necessary to maintain the property, mowing and keeping it up for the neighborhood, he's not going to do any further improvements. I don't see how anything could not conform with this neighborhood or take it down in value any. It can only help the property.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We have one blue card in opposition, Mr. Curtis Vincent. If you would state your name and address, please.
Curtis Vincent, I live at 4517 Isles Road. I live around the corner. Kind of the reason I got into this, my son lives on Ogden Road. He lives down the street a little bit from where this is proposed. But, and I do know several of the people who live along there. I know like Strecker Pryor, I've known him since my son played football with him. And some other people along there. Larry Bowers lives along there. He's, anyway, if y'all got these emails that I sent, I've got all the names of the people that are in opposition. Ms. Trahan is out here. She lives actually on the south side, directly up against this property. I can just read the names real quick that are in opposition. Alexander Vincent, who's my son. Jennifer Trahan, who is here. Stephen Abrahams, he lives across the street. Judy Bradley and Lynette Marcantel, they live directly across the street. Strecker and Mandy Pryor, they live across the street, one house down. And Sonia and Christopher Goodlow, they live across the street. They're all opposed to it. I think you've got their emails. I didn't keep going down the street. The people right next door are opposed to this. I find it a little insulting to say this is going to improve the neighborhood. It's certainly going to improve the lot because the houses are terrible. I'll grant you that. But there's some very nice homes adjacent to this, and I think it's insulting to say it's going to improve the neighborhood.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vincent.
That's what I got to say.
Appreciate you. Does the board have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I do for the staff. If what they were talking about, that other multifamily happens and is annexed into the city, is that going to change the way the parish feels about this multifamily or duplex being here?
I don't believe, I
Okay.
think our recommendation is our recommendation.
Yeah.
I don't know how far down the street that was, or, you know.
Yeah, there's some, I guess it's property at the very end of the street, because I did ride out there and looked at it, and there is some property that has been cleared at the very end of Ogden, and it actually looks like it may tie back into Isles Road. But again, this is in a little bit denser populated area in the city. You know, we're looking at it more neighborhood,
Oh, I gotcha.
you know, type thing, instead of in a rural area where you may be looking at a
Miles.
larger area. So you gotta put it in the context a little bit about where it is and the surrounding property. So, yes, there may be some duplexes. In fact, there's probably I think there's some duplex development on the east side of Isles Road. But in this
Neighborhood.
yeah, in this little neighborhood, it's predominantly single family, and that's what I saw. So,
Any other questions?
Got a question maybe relate to staff. This property, does it now exist? Does anyone living on this property?
I don't believe so.
Mr. Smith?
Just a question, make sure I'm clear on this. I'm looking north and the two properties adjacent east. Those are commercial, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's two houses on the property right now?
I'm not aware, is
I mean, that's what the picture's
Yes,
showing, right?
there are two that would be demolished, is my understanding, for him to construct the duplex.
There's two existing houses now, two
Right.
dwellings, evidently somebody lived in them. And he's asking for one duplex?
Yes.
Right.
From us,
And
yes.
that's two dwellings, one duplex.
Right.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Attached dwelling.
An adjoining wall.
They are attached dwellings.
Attached dwellings, okay. Okay. And the metal building in the picture is right next door.
Yeah, that's commercial.
That's commercial.
It's zoned.
Commercial on three sides.
Right.
It's zoned commercial. I don't know if it's being used like that. But it's zoned.
It's zoned for commercial use.
Yes, sir.
Somebody could actually go in there
And a lot of that was,
and open up
a lot of that was like that. That was part of the original zoning map, back in the 80s. So I think it was originally zoned that way, or did?
I believe it
Yeah.
was on that way.
Yes, sir. Go.
Yeah, one question. So, if we approve this, then it won't affect the commercial property. It still remain commercial?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Christie, could you have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Ms. Dickerson,
I think I'm gonna say yes, but I need to read how it's written again.
Give you a second.
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Porsche,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah,
Mr. Armator,
Yes.
Ms. Galicia,
Yes.
Ms. Cobb,
Yes.
Mr. Navarre,
Yes.
Mr. Link, Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
9 for, 1 against.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 11. I'll give the audience a minute to clear out. Agenda item number 11, take appropriate action on RZ 0318-0059, request by Harold Temple Jr. to rezone from agricultural A1 to recreational vehicle park or RVP to allow recreational vehicle park 6 spaces at 2142 Highway 109 South in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the Toomey area and encompasses 2.27 acres of land zoned agricultural. The petitioner is requesting to rezone the property to allow a 6 RV space park. Mr. Temple lives on the property to the east of the proposed park, and he intends to use the existing driveway that he uses to access his home for the park. Because the proposed density is not consistent with the area, and the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that RV park model types are prohibited, that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence must be installed along the north, south, and the north, south, and west property lines of the development, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the recommendations or the staff's reports? State your name and address, please, sir, for the records.
Harold Temple Jr., 2148 Highway 109 South, Benton, Louisiana.
Thank you,
Benton,
sir.
Louisiana. I'll go by Lynn. I went all the way to 109 North, where the next RV park is, Wildwood, and I went all the way back south to the Longhorn, and I got a petition from over 90% of the people on 109 for it. Right here.
Any other,
I work more overtime than since I was 18, since the average man works straight time. And my wife decided the kids' moms decided she's gonna live in Texas. So I've got the kids almost 90% of the time. So I'm gonna have to give up my overtime or worked overtime and pay somebody to hire to help me raise my kids.
yes, sir.
And I double my overtime. I mean, this is not gonna come nowhere close to what I make on overtime, but it's gonna help.
Yes, sir.
And I've got the kids now in school in Denton, so, and I work shift work at the plant. So I'm off 16 days out of the month, as you know the DuPont shift is, and I'm there all the time.
Okay.
And I plan on putting security cameras. I went to Mr. and Miss Walker, which is directly across the street in the house, and all along there. And even before the sign come up, and I went and talked to them. And I asked them for their blessings before they said, well, why are you coming to talk to me? It's your property. I said, out of respect. I said, I'll even put you on a 6-foot privacy fence on the west side. And the place was deplorable whenever I acquired the property. I've done a lot of pit cleaning up. I bought off 15, 20-foot high side low boys full of trash. Done tore up 3 lawnmowers and a brand new bush hog. So anything that I can do, like everybody had signed it said, it's just gonna be an improvement and it's gonna be nice. They offer, and it says for 25-foot separate that they're supposed to have room for. I'm offering 30 because I've got enough property to the east of me to do it.
Okay.
And I work construction for 13 years. I have friends that travel and stuff like that, and I don't have time for yonks. If I have any issues, I'll take all 6 of them and get them out of there. And I'm gonna charge an expensive fee to where I don't get trouble people. I am gonna screen them because I do have 3 kids, small kids.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We have 2 blue cards in opposition. Simeon Demeron?
Simone Dameron.
Yes, ma'am, please. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Simone Dameron. I live at 2137 Highway 109 South in Benton, directly across the street from the proposed park. We just learned about this when the sign went up. We had no idea about this. We are just brand new occupants out there since the beginning of the year. We have 20 acres of family land out there for the Canes and the Damerons. They've had homestead there since the 40s. And we probably would not have chosen to put a brand new home there and established homestead to live there the rest of our lives. My husband and I, had we known that there was going to be, I'm calling it commercial business, trailer RV parks out there. There's one north just of us, there's one south of us. There's no gas stations around us. It's just nice. We're on the back part, we're behind Mr. Walker's. There's 20 acres. Miss Linda Kane is here. My husband's on his way from work, and my mother-in-law live out there. And it's nice, it's quiet. I don't want to have to worry about who is going to be the next tenant that's going to be coming in there. You can screen people all you want. You can charge all you want. You don't know what's going to come out there. And we already have these facilities just north and south of us anyway. And, you know, not understanding on, number 11, it says that RV park model types are prohibited. I still have no clue what's gonna be allowed out there. He just came to my door last Thursday and caught my husband Friday night at 8:30. We listened. We didn't give our yeses or our nos or our opinions, but from my understanding, it's gonna be right there on the front of the road, right where we turn into our driveway. Neighbors down the street said that he was told it was gonna be back behind the woods. Mr. Temple lives back behind the woods. You can't see what's going on in front of where all these are going to be placed. If he works all this overtime in work, who's going to make sure it's secure? Is there a 24-hour manager, patrol? Who's going to look after these people? Mr. Temple also told me once he gets done with the 6, he was going to add 6 more and make it 12. Well, that's in and out pulling trailers, and, you know, noise, lights. Is there going to be a big flashing sign out in the front? We already have to deal with the road noise, you know, with the Delta track being there. Is there going to be somewhere where they're going to put their waste out of the home, the trailer things? Where does that go? Or do they leak out? Is it smelly? You know, I'm by myself 75% of the time of the month because my husband works shift work. We have grown children. My mother-in-law's 82, lives there by herself. And my husband's aunt, Linda Kane, recently lived by herself. We want to make sure that we're secure. And I am not, we have not been told how is this going to be managed to make sure that we're safe, spending all this money on a brand new home, making a brand new homestead for many years to come. And so 4 of us are opposed.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another blue card against Chris Merchant. Mercer.
My name's Chris Mercer. I live at 2146 Highway 109, South Vinton. Mr. Lynn Temple and his wife, Carla, stole my father's land back in 2015. Now, I pressed charges and nobody done nothing. Well, yesterday I did the same thing again as the district attorney told me to. This gentleman was offered 10 acres of land to build him a home and his kids because they were getting kicked out of their home. My father willingly gave him 10 acres and ends up with 1 acre and 6 acres scattered out. Now, he's got my father pinned up like a dog in that yard. This family's owned this property since 1800s. And Mr. Welch is sitting right here, a Korean War vet, and he did not do this for this gentleman. So as of right now, we're trying to do legal action against him, but I got to go through legal aid because none of his family wants him no more to help him out. Now, this land is valuable because it was headed for Delta Downs. Delta Downs wanted to build a road through it. They proposed no, because that land was there for the woods to hunt and to be privacy.
Mr. Mercer, if you would, just stay on the
Okay, well,
agenda item
sir,
itself, please, sir.
he denied, my dad proposes that doesn't happen.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I got to say.
Appreciate you. Does the applicant have any comments or any information since the
Yes,
questions
sir.
that were asked?
Yes, sir. We done went through the court system with it. Cecil Sanders, the one that did the paperwork for it. I did not steal the property. Mr. Mercer is from Baton Rouge. He just showed up out of the blue in January, and he don't have a full-time job. But I'm not.
Any comments in regard? We're not worried about after that.
I'm sorry.
But any of the comments that the other lady made in regards to?
No, I spoke with Ms. Kane. I sat on her porch for 2 hours Friday night, and she was all for it. And she said, I'm fine with it. She called her mother-in-law over there. They were fine for it, fine with it. And so I went up there with a paper, the petition, to ask her to sign it, and she told me Saturday she wasn't going to sign the petition. I helped her with her horses, helped her with her trash, and I left. That was it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
The board members have any questions? Questions or concerns? Ms. Christie, I'm sorry, Mr. Forte?
Do we have written opposition as well?
No, sir.
Yeah, no written opposition, just a request.
Correct.
Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Armentar,
No.
Mr. Navarre,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Ms. Cobb,
No.
Ms. Dickerson,
No.
Ms. Galicia,
Yes.
Mr. Porsche,
No.
Mr. Link,
No.
Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
No.
4 yeses and 6 noes.
Motion failed. Agenda item number 12, advise that the motion for summary judgment by Oak Run LLC was granted by the 14th Judicial District Court on January the 12th, 2018, and is the decision of the Calhoun Parish Planning and Zoning Board on September 19th, 2017, that denied applicant number SUB 08170086 was reversed. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following actions on March 22nd with reference to the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board from the March 20th, 2018 meeting. Tragic, Long Pine Lane, withdrawn. Westlake Petrochemical, Dennis Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. Western Real Estate, Bayou Den Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, May the 22nd, 2018, in the police jury meeting room. I will entertain a motion for adjournment. I have a motion by Mr. Dickerson, second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Motion carries.